Do you remember when summer vacations seemed eternal? When a school day stretched like an infinite ocean of hours? When Christmas came so slowly you believed time had broken? Now you look at the calendar and December seems like yesterday. Your birthday repeats every 3 months, and suddenly you're 30, 40, or 50 years old, wondering where the hell your life went. You're not imagining things. Time is literally accelerating for you. And the reason isn't what you think. There's something deeply disturbing about realizing that years pass like pages torn away by the wind. Each December arrives faster than the previous one. Each birthday feels like a temporal slap, reminding you that life isn't waiting for you. It's as if there exists a cruel cosmic law. The more you need time, the faster it escapes. The more conscious you are of its value, the less it seems to last. And the most unsettling thing of all is that this isn't a feeling. It's a mathematical reality that your brain is experiencing. The problem isn't in your defective perception or your failing memory. The problem is in how your mind measures time, and that measurement changes fundamentally with each year you live. When you were 5 years old, 1 year represented 20% of your entire life. It was a massive fraction, a giant piece of your complete existence. That year contained more novelty, more discoveries, more first times than any year you'll live afterward. Your 5-year-old brain processed each day as an epic adventure because it literally was. Each experience was recorded with the intensity of the unknown. Each moment was archived as significant because your mental database was small and everything was relevant. But now, at 30 years old, 1 year represents barely 3% of your life. It's a minuscule fraction in your ocean of experiences. And here's the cruel trick of temporal perception. Your brain doesn't measure time linearly. It measures it proportionally to what you've already lived. It's as if your mind were a library, that each year adds more books, but the space for each new book becomes proportionally smaller. The first books occupied entire shelves, the new ones barely fit in corners. This isn't just a psychological curiosity, it's an existential tragedy that no one warned you was coming. It's the reason why your parents always said time flies, while you, in your adolescence, believed they were lying or exaggerating. They weren't lying. They were giving you the only warning they could about what was approaching. A relentless temporal acceleration that would turn your years into months. Your months into weeks, and your weeks into a nostalgic blur of, is it Friday again? Neuroscience has discovered something unsettling about how we process time. Your brain has a perverse tendency. It only archives as memorable what is novel, unexpected, or emotionally significant. Everything else, all that daily routine that constitutes the majority of your adult life, gets compressed in your memory like unimportant files. It's as if your mind were a brutal editor that discards everything it considers repetitive or predictable. The problem is that adult life, by social design, is built on predictable routines. You wake up at the same time, take the same route to work, perform similar tasks, eat at familiar places, talk to the same people about the same topics, watch the same types of entertainment, and go to bed following the same ritual. This routine, which society celebrates as stability and maturity, is actually a time compression machine. Your brain, faced with this constant flow of similarities, begins to process entire days as if they were minutes. Weeks become indistinguishable. Months merge into a gray temporal mass. And here's the first disturbing revelation. Time acceleration isn't a symptom of aging, it's a symptom of stagnation. It's not that your body is failing, it's that your life has become predictably the same. Children experience time slowly, not only because they're young, but because they're constantly exposed to the new. Each day brings discoveries, each outing is an adventure, each experience is a first time. Their brain is in constant recording mode because everything deserves to be remembered. But there's something deeper operating here. Something that connects with ancestral truths about the nature of time and consciousness. Spiritual traditions have understood for millennia what modern neuroscience is confirming. time isn't an external constant. It's an internal experience that fluctuates according to your state of consciousness. Mystics spoke of sacred time versus profane time. The ancients distinguished between chronos and kairos, chronological time versus lived time. In a state of deep flow, when you're completely absorbed in a meaningful activity, time behaves strangely. It can expand, making minutes feel like hours of rich experience, or it can contract, making hours pass like minutes. Monks who meditate report temporal experiences that defy logic, hour-long sessions that feel like minutes, but that contain an experiential richness that would normally take days to process. What these traditions understood, and what your accelerated life is screaming at you, is that your relationship with time reflects your relationship with presence. When you live automatically, when your consciousness is on autopilot navigating known routines, you stop being present in your own life. And when you're not present, time escapes because there's no one really there to experience it. This is the central paradox of modern temporal experience. The more efficient you become in your routine, the faster your life escapes. The optimization of productivity, that holy grail of modern culture, is also the optimization of temporal acceleration. Every time you automate another part of your day, every time you find a more efficient way to do things, you're literally accelerating your experience of time. Think about it. The apps that save you time, the shortcuts that make your tasks faster, the systems that optimize your day, all these modern inventions are designed to compress temporal experience. They promise you more free time, but what they really do is accelerate the pace at which you live, until days become a blur of efficiency without substance. And here we arrive at the heart of the matter, at the insight that changes everything. Your brain measures time, not by the minutes that pass, but by the amount of conscious experience you process. A day full of novelty, attention, and presence can feel longer and richer than a week of automated routine. The subjective duration of time is directly proportional to the intensity of your conscious participation in it. This means that temporal acceleration isn't inevitable. It's not a natural law you have to passively accept. It's the direct result of decisions you make about how to live your life, about how much attention you pay to your experience, about what level of automation you allow to dominate your existence. Neuroscientists have discovered that there are specific chemicals in your brain that affect temporal perception. Dopamine, that neurotransmitter associated with anticipation and pleasure, literally alters your relationship with time. When you're in a state of high anticipation, waiting for something significant, pursuing a goal that matters to you, involved in activities you find intrinsically rewarding, your brain produces dopamine in a way that makes time feel richer and more present. But modern life has created a dopamine crisis. Most adults live in a state of chronic anticipation toward the future, the next weekend, the next vacation, the next life stage, while experiencing the present as something to endure or accelerate to reach that promised future. This constant forward orientation creates a temporal paradox. The more anxious you are for the future to arrive, the faster the present escapes. Additionally, the constant overstimulation of the digital era has trained your brain to require levels of novelty and intensity that everyday life cannot naturally provide. Your nervous system, constantly bombarded with information, entertainment, and stimuli, has developed a tolerance that makes normal experiences, a quiet conversation, a walk without music, a moment of silence, feel boring and endless. This desensitization doesn't only affect your capacity to enjoy simple moments, it also affects your temporal perception. When your brain is constantly searching for the next hit of stimulation, it can't settle enough to deeply experience the present moment. Time becomes something to fill with distraction instead of something to inhabit with presence. But here's the second transformative revelation. The time you feel escaping hasn't really gone. It's archived in your memory as compressed experience because you didn't pay full attention to it when it was happening. It's like having a library full of books you never fully opened. The experience is there but compressed, unprocessed, unintegrated. This means that recovering your relationship with time doesn't require dramatically changing your external life. It requires changing your internal participation in the life you already have. It's about developing what contemplatives call presence and what psychologists call mindfulness. But more deeply, it's about remembering how to consciously participate in your own existence. Research in neuroplasticity has shown something extraordinary. Your brain maintains the capacity to change its relationship with experience at any age. You can literally retrain your temporal perception by developing new attention patterns. When you begin to pay deliberate attention to experiences you normally automate, the taste of your morning coffee, the sensation of water in your shower, the quality of light in your room, your brain begins to archive these moments as significant experiences instead of compressed routine. It's not about meditating for hours or withdrawing from the world. It's about bringing curiosity and attention to the experiences you're already having. When you eat, eat completely. When you walk, walk completely. When you talk to someone, be completely present in that conversation. This conscious participation doesn't only enrich the experience of the moment, it also expands it temporally in your memory. Studies show that people who practice deliberate attention report that their days feel longer and richer, not because they have more chronological time, but because they extract more conscious experience from each moment. It's like switching from a low-resolution camera to high definition. The same amount of time contains more experiential information. There's also the factor of conscious variation. Your brain archives as memorable what is different, but you don't need dramatic changes to activate this mechanism. Small intentional variations, taking a different route, trying new food, having a conversation with someone you don't normally talk to, changing your morning routine are enough for your brain to activate full recording mode instead of automatic. Compression mode. The key isn't in filling your life with extreme adventures or constant changes. It's in bringing conscious novelty to familiarity. It's finding the unknown in the known, the extraordinary in the ordinary. When you look at your partner as if seeing them for the first time. When you observe your neighborhood as if you were a visitor from another planet. When you pay attention to your own breathing as if it were a fascinating phenomenon, you're activating the same neurological mechanisms that made time pass slowly in your childhood. But there's an even deeper dimension to this temporal transformation, one that connects with spiritual truths that contemplative traditions have preserved for centuries. Accelerated time isn't just a perception problem. It's a symptom of disconnection from what mystics call the eternal present, that state of consciousness where time isn't a line that escapes, but an infinite point of experience that deepens. In this state, which you can access more frequently than you think, a moment can contain eternities. Not because time stops chronologically, but because your participation in that moment becomes so complete, so total, that it transcends ordinary temporal measurement. Artists know this state, athletes experience it, lovers live it. Parents feel it when they hold their children. The temporal acceleration of adult life isn't then an inevitable condemnation. It's an invitation to rediscover your natural capacity to inhabit the present more completely. It's a call to awaken from the automation you've confused with maturity, to exit the autopilot you've confused with efficiency. When you begin to live with this renewed presence, something magical happens. Not only do your days feel longer and richer, but your entire life begins to expand. Years stop feeling like pages torn away by the wind and become chapters you actually live, actually experience, actually remember. You don't need to turn back the clock or change the laws of physics. You only need to remember how to fully participate in the life you already have. You need to retrain your attention to find the extraordinary hidden in the everyday, the eternal present in each fleeting moment. Time has always been there, waiting for you. It's not escaping, you're learning to reach it. And when you finally do, you discover it never really left. You were just looking the other way. If this message resonated with you, if you recognized your own temporal experience in these words, share it with someone who also feels that life is accelerating without their permission. And in the comments, tell me, what was the last moment when you felt time stopped for you? Because in that answer lies the key to recovering your relationship with time and perhaps to recovering your relationship with life itself.